So America is experiencing the sharpest rise in poverty in 50 years. And this is even from Bloomberg. And it's crazy, but it's really not if you pay attention to what's going on. So the end of 2020 brought the sharpest rise in poverty since the 60s, and this was according to a study released. This was a study by the University of Chicago, and the percentage point rise is nearly double the largest annual increase in poverty since the 60s, which means that an additional 8 million people are now considered poor. Moreover, the poverty rate for Black Americans is estimated to have jumped by 5.4 percentage points, or by 2.4 million individuals. The scholars' findings put the rate at 11.8% in December. So while poverty is down from the readings of more than 15% a decade earlier, the new estimates suggest that the annual Census Bureau's tally will due in September will be higher than the last official pre-pandemic level of 10.5 in 2019. And Black Americans were more than twice as likely to be poor as their white counterparts in December. So I just wanted to mention that too, because when I talk about class, some people say that that is excluding the racial inequities, and it's not, because when you attack the economy and when you give all people a stimulus, when you give all people health care, when you give all people actual debt forgiveness for loans, medical debt forgiveness, the vast majority of people that benefit from that are going to be your minorities, because they're the ones that are more in trouble. And so when I'm talking about class and the wages and the economy, and how we need some of these social safety nets, because this is, if you have a system where you're not helping at all, then you can't. Why are people paying taxes then? Why be part of a system that is actually hurting you? You would be better off on your own than having to pay the government for what, and for doing what in your name. And so you can say that's a very libertarian perspective, but I don't think it is. I think it's an American perspective. Why are you being taxed without being represented? At this point, we're not being represented at all. And so if you want to look at it that way, it is actually more patriotic to stop participating in the system that is screwing you over. And so now we're seeing that poverty is getting worse. Yeah. And we're seeing that when we talk about these things, when we talk about what Fred Hampton did and the Rainbow Coalition, when we talk about Malcolm X and what Martin Luther King Jr. was pushing, they were talking about the economy, and they were talking about imperialism, and they were talking about how that's directly connected, because there's no separation between our domestic and our foreign policy, because we do the same thing abroad.
Yeah. That's the thing we were talking about when we had Garland Nixon on. Go ahead and check that interview out with Steve Fund the Police. But he said it's also about the culture. People always question, why did this guy go and beat somebody up? He had a fight at the traffic light. He almost fought two people at the bar. Then he gets home and he beats his wife and he kicks his kids and he's awful. And people go, why does this happen? This guy is evil. Something's wrong with him. No, we have a culture of violence. We go overseas. We bomb the hell out of people. We just strong arm everybody. We're in their homeland. And, we have a history and a nature of violence. And we bring it back home, and that's that. And when 80% of Americans live in paycheck to paycheck, I mean, you have a serious problem right here. And these poverty numbers are only going to grow. We were down at Skid Row not too long the other day. Skid Row is growing. It's growing. It's expanding. Yeah. It's supposed to be shrinking. And that's something I hated about the whole Donald Trump presidency. We have the greatest economy of all times. The stock market is now above 30. This is an unprecedented era. It's been an amazing recovery like no one's ever seen. The likes that no one's ever seen. Well, yeah, guess what, buddy? Poverty's been growing. Homelessness has been growing. Not everybody has the money in the stock market. And then now when we use the stock market against the big guys, they pull the plug on us. It's just a rigged system. It sucks. The elites keep making more money, and here we are. Poverty is growing. Yeah. And nobody ever talks about poverty, fam. Obama didn't talk about poverty. I mean, Cornel West was trying to say, why don't any of these candidates talk about poverty? You know why they don't talk about it? Because if they addressed poverty, if they talked about it, they would have to address it.
Well, yeah, they'd have to address it, and they wouldn't. So then it would show you exactly how psychopathic they are. So this is a study from the University of Notre Dame, and it just again reiterating that poverty continues to rise as coronavirus cases increase. The coronavirus pandemic has taken a significant toll on the U.S. labor market. Since the start of the pandemic, more than 93 million claims for unemployment insurance have been filed. While UI claims fell sharply from April through July, weekly claims have remained high since then. More than 1 million claims each week, about 5 times the pre-pandemic rate. Currently, more than 10.7 individuals are officially unemployed, Jesus. And millions of other former workers are still without jobs. Early in the pandemic, the federal government offered a relief package that included large one-time stimulus payments to household and greatly expanded unemployment insurance benefits, but some of these benefits have expired and others are set to expire this month, raising important questions about the long-term impact of the pandemic on poverty. And it just shows you how much, again, the poverty rate did fall, but it's going to be higher after the fact. And then poverty has risen sharply, however, in recent months. As some of the benefits that were part have expired, poverty rose 2.4 percentage points after rounding from 9.3 in June to 11.8 in December, adding 8.1 million people to the ranks of the poor. So there.
But people get mad too when they say, "Oh, you're just trying to ignore
there's a chart,
race
Johnny,
and stuff. You're just talking class." No, but you see in this report, poverty's grown by 2.4%, right?
Yeah.
But for people of color, it's grown over 5%.
Right.
So when you address economics, right? If you address it and you stop weaponizing identity politics and you address the economics, you're going to help people of color out more than if you just say, "Hey, I'm for you, Black Lives Matter. I'm on your court," but then you turn around and you screw them economically because they need that money for resources to help their family, just like everybody else does. You got something
100%, and you're absolutely right.
Stupid.
It's and nobody's saying we're not going to address racism, but
you address it by addressing economics, don't you? Now is that what it's saying? It's not the
only way.
Yeah,
but I mean,
but
it's a major way by reducing the inequity, because like we said, working class is in America is majority made up of minorities.
Yeah.
So you were going to reduce inequity by addressing the economics of it, which is why Medicare for All, which also people of color are dying at higher rates from COVID than other people are. So if you are also addressing that, you're addressing that inequity too in the healthcare system. Yeah. It's all connected.
It seems like that part's always forgotten though. Like they never address the economics, whatnot.
Because they don't really want to help
people. Screw us over the economics, they can address the other parts of it, but they never address the economics, and that's bullshit.
And just further adding fuel to the fire, Instacart, if you use Instacart, I've never used Instacart, but I know plenty of people use it, especially now because, these people get your groceries for you and they deliver it. During the pandemic, their use has gone up because more people are doing that. They're not going to grocery stores as much. But instead of doing something with that new revenue they're getting, Instacart is firing every employee who voted to unionize because these employees try to unionize. And these layoffs are hitting 10 unionized workers in Skokie, Illinois, in addition to other employees. And this is from Motherboard. The news comes as the company shuts down in-store operations at some grocery stores amid the coronavirus pandemic and doubles down on curbside pickups. The layoffs impact 10 unionized workers at a grocery store called Mariano's, in addition to other Instacart employees. The group in Skokie, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, voted to unionize last year with the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 1546 UFCW. It was a landmark victory for gig workers because gig workers normally you get treated like shit. You don't have any benefits,
your boss
nothing.
Is an app.
No, yeah, your boss is a freaking app. And so it represented the first time employees of tech companies that rely predominantly on contract labor have formed a union to collectively bargain for better wages and working benefits and working conditions. And so they were in the process of negotiating the first contract when the news of the layoffs hit. These layoffs are totally discouraging for any gig workers who are trying to do something to make these jobs better. This is what one unionized worker told Motherboard. They said they were fighting for health insurance and vacation time in their initial contract. So they were just basically fighting for not even anything crazy here, just health care and vacation time during a pandemic.
Health insurance.
Yeah, right.
You're going to still have to pay that deductible. You can still meet them halfway. Like Instacart is like, well, I'll pay half the insurance. You pay the other half.
No.
And, they don't even want, nothing for you.
And so obviously this sets a precedent for anybody organizing as a gig worker against, let's say, Postmates is organizing, right? Let's say that happens. Well, this shows a precedent now because the company's leadership has shown its hostility towards these organizers. They ran a union busting campaign that included bringing in the managers to the grocery stores in Illinois to convince workers to vote against the union. So they didn't just sit back and say, no, we're just going to write this letter. They specifically brought in people to harass these people to vote against the union.
Them. I know.
To use their managers against their workers. Do you see how disgusting that is? And okay, so this has brought significant increase in demand to the grocery delivery. This year, Instacart plans to go public, an event that could value the company at roughly $30 billion. So this company is making money. So the company announced these layoffs in a blog post about new grocery store pickup models. So they're framing it, oh, this is a new model, and we're going to transfer some of the impacted shoppers to other grocery stores and provide transition assistance to people looking for work. And so we know this is an incredibly challenging time, they said, for as many as we move through COVID-19 crisis. We're doing everything we can. But according to Motherboard, the workers are going to get as little as a $250 severance in the middle of a pandemic. $250. I don't know what you can do with that, but it's not much. And they don't know where they're going to get transferred, or some of them are going to get transferred, and the layoffs are happening between March and June. And that's what they're doing.
So we got to not use Instacart.
Yeah, boycott Instacart.
Boycott
Instacart,
Instacart, boycott Robinhood, boycott TD
ridiculous.
Ameritrade, boycott these son of a bitches. Let's let them get hurt in the pockets.
Yeah.
But the only thing is that they have so much power on the back end. You never know who's pulling the strings, fam. It's like, where do they pop up? In other words, what Robinhood did was pretty much essentially sack their company. It's going to be no more, right? All right, they have an IPO that was supposed to be coming up. So these people feel confident enough to do these things, knowing that they'll have another avenue of revenue or someplace to reappear doing the same thing, if not,
And these apps that are largely created by big tech, they don't fear doing this to people, because these people are indispensable to them, because they're gig workers. We live in a gig economy, so they have zero protections against them. For them, there's no protections that these people have. And so when they try to unionize to get protections, which is normal, which 60 years ago you could unionize, and that's why you were making decent wages.
Absolutely.
And these people are protecting. Well, now the unions, a lot of the union leadership has become corrupt in most places, and the ones that don't have unions and are trying to unionize are punished when they try to do that. So you can't win either way. And with ASMID versus Jaffe, that happened during the Trump administration, that even dissolves the power of unions even more. So again, this is like Ask Me versus Janice. And the last thing, guys, I just wanted to show was that these people are our enemy. It's the elite, the 1% that have been set here to divide us, that are saying, hey, Pasta took an apple. Look, go punch him. And so then I'm busy punching Pasta for an apple when they're stealing the whole barrel of apples from behind your back. That's exactly what's happening.
Here's billionaire hedge fund investor Leon Cooperman on how he feels about the plebs.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people. And, I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and pull together. The reason the market...
We're going to work together, pull together, change the rules in the middle, and cheat you because it's bullshit. You're just going after wealthy people.
Yeah, we're just going after wealthy people because, it's not like they don't go after poor people like every day. I mean, these people really think like that. Do you see how he's talking about the working class? You're a nuisance to them. They want to get rid of you. You are valued less. According to the rule of law in this country, the working class is valued less than the 1%, because what do? They change and manipulate the market and the rules to the 1%, whether it is in the prison system, whether it's in the healthcare system, whether it's in something as stocks or the economic sector. They manipulate the rules to benefit only them. Whether it's in the news media, in independent media, they manipulate the rules in order to benefit the top. Your battle here is not a left-right paradigm. Your battle here is a top-down paradigm. That's what we have to focus on. And all these people on the faux left dividing people and saying you're a Nazi, if this and that. No, these people are the ones that would be willing to literally send you to concentration camps. And we still have concentration camps. Wasn't Joe Biden going to get rid of these concentration camps? No, we still have activists here fighting against the ICE detention centers because what he did was just a federal ban doesn't include those privately owned prisons. And who are they owned by? By these elites and these corporations. And they, again, bend the rules to get away with still making their buck.
And this whole talk left-right paradigm, when, we're talking about more people going after, the Boogaloo Boys. Meanwhile, they're saying vote for Joe Biden. How dare you talk to one of the Boogaloo Boys? We don't unite with ultra-right, far extremists and stuff. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is who they said to go vote for, and they're putting in people from Raytheon who are pretty much were on the goddamn board last week and stuff. And I'll say this now, and I'll say it. I've said it before. The Raytheon kills more people, more innocent people in one day than the Proud Boys or the Boogaloo Boys will kill in a lifetime. Get your priorities straight. Get your head out of your ass. It's about top versus down. They even just stole from the common man here the other day. They cheated in plain sight, and they're open about it. They're not even hiding it now. Oh, yeah, we'd shut it down because we have bullshit reasons, blah, 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 bullshit reasons. I couldn't even understand what his reasoning was for shutting it down and saying they can only sell the app. You could only sell the stock. You couldn't buy it. They don't care.
Not to mention the fact that, real quick, that that Henry Kissinger can be interviewed on CNN, that Madeleine Albright can be interviewed on TOIT,
Softballs.
that all of these CIA spooks work and are interviewed on a CNN and MSNBC on the regular,
Brennan,
and I
Clapper.
do not see any sort of outrage over that.
None.
These are the people that are actually manipulating things behind the scenes, and I don't see the outrage. I want to see the outrage when they get a platform to spew their CIA fucking talking points, to spew their lying imperialistic the defense contractor talking points that they do when they promote Raytheon. That. Why aren't you pissed off about that? I'm not saying that there's no such thing as white supremacy. I am saying they're making it a much bigger deal than it actually is in order to get people to just get distracted, in order to get us to not look up. And that's what keeps happening over and over again.